What's up, guys? It's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Buildit video. Today we are doing a new Contest of Mayors quick guide video. I went through yesterday and decided that the quick guide that I put together the last time wasn't organized enough and clearly confusing people. When it's in your own head and you understand it, it seems easier than trying to teach it to somebody. Like, for example, all of the things that you guys have learned from the channel and everything, try teaching that to someone else and you'll see how hard it is to put this stuff into words. So after a while of working with people this week, a whole new set of trainees, I decided that whatever's going on between the video and the user, the mayor, as you would, is not making the connect. It doesn't make sense to me why so many people have such a hard time grasping this concept. And it makes you wonder as a teacher if it's what you're doing as a teacher that isn't, good enough to where people just aren't understanding. And so every time you have a student that doesn't understand something, you think, how can I make them understand this? What words in what order do I have to put together to make this make sense to this particular person? And everybody's different, right? And so I started really thinking through and doing the breakdown of what you need to know about each task. And that is when I decided to put it into 4 categories, which is hopefully going to make up a little bit more sense. So the last quick guide, what I did was I took in each task for you low-level players, and then I just put a paragraph there that said what you need to know about each task, and then you could refer back to it when you did your task assessment, right? Well, that apparently wasn't as beneficial as it could have been, right? So after a while of dealing with new people and stuff, I decided to kind of change it up a little bit. So the first thing that you always do, and we're going to go through this guide so you guys understand how this works. The first thing that you always do is you set the scene for whatever list it is that you're looking at. You can't answer things for people if you don't have all of the necessary information. Like if you don't know what city level they are, if you don't know how much time is left or how many tasks are remaining, you can't answer the right thing. So if you have somebody in your group that maybe constantly asks, hey, what do? I have this or that you can't answer that, or for yourself, if you're somebody that does that and you don't understand, you need to know why these key components are important. And so I went through and first off, let me tell you guys, if you guys are using Google Docs, if you click the little 3 dots here and do print layout, it'll switch it up to take it away from the phone version and put it in more of a print version, which is a little bit easier to read, especially like if you're looking at our production guides and stuff. So I usually do that, especially for the videos. Okay, so city level, and I put in why city level was important. It'll tell you what items are unlocked, the types of tasks in which you're going to be getting, which tokens you have unlocked, and how many factory slots are available. So that is important because if you have production tasks and you don't know, what level they are, you can't just say, oh, hey, go do that on a gold token. They're looking at you like, what the hell are you talking about, lady? I don't have tokens. The factory slots, that's extremely important. If you have somebody who gets a assignment for a certain amount of factory slots and they don't have that many, then you know that it's not possible for them to do it in 1 round. They have to do it in 2 rounds, which would change your answer greatly if that's the case. League will tell you which tasks should be left. This will tell you which tasks should be left alone versus done. Okay? So what this means is that when you pick the league, certain tasks are only done in Mega. Okay, not all tasks are done in each league the same way you would do them in the higher leagues. So if you're in the lower leagues, certain tasks are not going to be beneficial to you, right? It doesn't make sense to burn through a bunch of Sims cash doing flights in the lower leagues. It's a waste of money just to win some coins that you could have won anyways, It doesn't make sense to burn through all of your beach and your mountain and your epics and all of those things. Those are your limited tasks, right? Your war card upgrades. Why would you do those in the lower leagues when the prizes aren't that great and you could get promoted anyways? You would want to save those for the Mega League. So once you get to this point here, this right here is the rules of rotation. Now, everybody should have a copy of this. I am going to insert the full rules of rotation in this later on today. I just got super tired yesterday because this stupid thing took me 4 hours to do. But basically, if you don't know what the rules of rotation are, I'm going to go ahead and tell you since we're already here doing the video. But as it says here, the first 50 tasks saying that you have a good start, okay? Which most time people have a good start. What that means is, like this week, a lot of you guys noticed that your week has just been terrible. It hasn't mattered what you've done. The very first half of the contest has been just dreadful. You know, the game is giving you garbage. It's just not working with you. Everything you rotate is just garbage. That usually happens because you have an uptime and a downtime. Now, as explained in yesterday's video, when you have that uptime, in that downtime, they usually fluctuate between about 5 to 10 tasks. So they keep your average, you know, in a good median zone, right? Right in the good comfort zone there. So that's why you'll notice at the beginning of the contest, your average will be really, really good. And then, you know, a couple tasks like go by and all of a sudden it's like your average is garbage and you're sitting there going, well, what the hell happened? I just had a good average. You know, and you're looking at your choices thinking you did something wrong. When you look back, you know you didn't do anything wrong. So then all of a sudden the game starts to pick up again, then go down again, pick up again, go down again. And that's kind of how the contest to mayors levels itself out. Like I said, the game will always level itself out. So what ends up happening in this instance is usually because the game starts you off with such good tasks at the beginning of the contest, usually what ends up happening is it does that. It goes up and down like a roller coaster. But sometimes what happens is it just starts off the exact opposite of that. As many of you may have noticed, and I noticed because I see so many screenshots, you know, of people's stuff, that almost everybody didn't start off with very good stuff this week. You know, they may have started off with one 3K task and then just some crappy, you know, 1500s or whatever. Not many people started off with a really kick-ass list. That being said, that coupled with the fact that no matter what everybody has rotated, the first 30 tasks have just been terrible. That tells me that they're in a downtime. And what you would do during this time, which this is a rare occurrence, but what you would do is you would do the opposite of what you would normally do. You wouldn't want to burn through all of your really good rotatable options during this downtime. You would want to burn through your non-rotatable options or your non-premium rotatable options, such as repair, keys, coins, things like that, right? That way you have a higher chance of getting, I mean, you know that during this time, if the game's going to give you garbage, you know that if keys or repair comes back, you have a 75% chance that it comes in higher than the 1200, right? But if you rotate in your 1K VU and the game's just giving you garbage and it's going to give you a 1K VU again, that just sucks. Then you burn through all of your premiums, and then towards the end of the contest, when the game starts to pick up, it's not you're not rotating your premiums anymore, so your score just plummets further. What you guys will notice is right around 30 tasks remaining, you guys will probably hit a lot of war assignments as soon as war ends, and the game will start to pick itself up right towards the second half of the contest. Hang on just a second here. Okay, so let's get back to the rules of rotation. So we're going to talk about this based on a normal week, which, like I said, it's been a while since I've seen a week like this where everybody's CoM has just been hell, okay? It's probably once every couple months I see this happen. Usually it's because of a change they make, like, you know, last week how they had those really high war attacks or point values. They had like a 12,000 point task for some people. You know, it's usually on weeks where the developers do a goof, like, oops, sorry guys. Yeah, that the contest of mayors is just screwed. So, on a normal week, which I would assume, saying that the developers don't mess anything up, which I know is a long shot because those people are pretty stupid over there, next week should be a normal week, meaning you should get your high value tasks right off the beginning of the contest, and everything should play out as it normally does. That being said, if that is the case, then the first 50 tasks of your week should be in the rules of rotation where value trumps opportunity. As you can see, opportunity trumps value, the first 50 tasks. As you can see here, it says opportunity greater than sign value. So that means that opportunity is more important than value. Value is still very important and can bring opportunity. However, opportunity still trumps value. For instance, that is if the assignments are in the rotatable options, okay, not your main tasks. And that is where people are not making the connect. That was like a realization for me just there. Hang on. Let me write that down or I'm going to forget that. Okay, you guys, I think I got this. So a lot of you guys, that's what's going on. Hang on. Okay, so a lot of you guys, when you guys go for opportunity over value, what I'm noticing is normally when people make the mistake, it's when they pick something that is less than 1,000 points for something that was over 2,000 points, right? Versus something over 2,000 points. What that means is as long as the tasks that you're choosing, as long as all of your main tasks are gone, okay? So all of your 3K VUs, your 3K deliveries, your 2K repairs, your 2,400 keys, those are all your main tasks. They are obvious choices, okay? They hold your 2K average, they take up those 2K placements, and you should be doing those, right? Because it doesn't make sense to snag up a 1K VU when you have a 3K delivery at the top of your list. That's foolish, right? Okay, so that being said, usually what ends up happening is people don't understand that opportunity trumps value the first 50 tasks because they look at where is the value line that trumps opportunity, and that is right around the 1,800 mark, okay? So I want to say 1,600, but 1,600 is a little bit low, and the reason I say 1,800 is because if you had an 1,800 cargo, and you chose, let's say, a 1K VU, there better be a damn good reason for that. Like, something's broken in your head, I guess. I don't know. But normally, if you have an 1,800 cargo, you would not choose a 1K VU. Now, if you know that by doing the cargo, it's going to give you something garbage, then usually you would want to maybe, you know, do the 1K VU in terms of opening up that opportunity moving forward before you rotate the cargo. I could see that in a rare instance, yes. But more often than not, what you're going to do is you're going to focus on your 4 2K placements, okay? So if you can have right around, it's not always 4, but if you can have right around 4 tasks worth 2,000 points in your list, it doesn't make sense to leave high value tasks there to constantly look for opportunity. And that is what a lot of trainers have trouble with, or trainees have trouble with. And that is that they are constantly looking for opportunity over value, because that's what that says there, right? They don't understand that value still brings opportunity. And so you kind of have to have a little bit of common sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to really think about this shit. Obviously, the ultimate goal here is to get high value tasks, right? So you have to look at what opportunity value holds. For instance, if you have something of equal value, but one thing offers better opportunity, you would obviously go for the thing of equal value that also opens up better opportunity, right? Because you have a double win-win there. So it's kind of like that. So as long as it's less than 2,000 points and in your rotatable category, then you operate under the terms of opportunity trumps value. If you have main tasks, then you should be rotating those main tasks before you rotate your rotatable options, right? Okay. So, 10 tasks remaining. This is the part of rotation where you should be going through your list and rotating anything at all that you see that could pose good opportunity for when you get to value trumps opportunity. Once these 10 tasks are gone, you're going to be into your tickets. And you're going to want to snag up any points that you can get because you're running out of tasks. Meaning opportunity doesn't matter if you don't continue to get tasks, right? I mean, let's say you have five tasks left. It doesn't make sense to snag up something for 200 points less when you're almost out of tasks because you're not going to be getting any more tasks, so it doesn't matter about opportunity. The last 15 tasks, you should be snagging up pretty much value. You know, any extra points you can get, snag them up. Now, let's say that you have, you know, you're on the very beginning of your tickets and there's a really good opportunity there to open up, then you should take it. You know, if you think that the opportunity for value, by rotating that, it brings better value to your tasks and it's not too much of a points drop, then absolutely, because that would mean that would better your value later, right? So to some extent, you have to have some common sense here. If it's like, oh, well, I just hit my 15th ticket and I didn't have time to rotate that 1K VU, but I really think it's going to bring me something great. Don't be there like a dumbass and not rotate it. You know, rotate it then. If you think it's going to bring you something really good, then do it. But if you are on ticket number 10 and you've got a 3K VU and then this 1K, you know, chairs down at the bottom, and you know that you have little to no upgrades in your list, it doesn't make sense to take, you know, several thousand points less just for a shot in the dark, you know? You'll start to learn the pattern in which the game spits these, you know, tasks out, but only if you pay very close attention to what you do. If you take screenshots of the top and bottom of your list and you go back through your choices and analyze them, take a step back, analyze them now that you're a little more, you know, clear-headed, and see if you missed anything. See if there was something there that you could have done that would have posed a better, you know, chance. You got to remember, I look at thousands of screenshots every day, and everything has a pattern to it. It really does. You don't notice it when you only see just your game. Okay, it's really hard to notice something when you don't have enough data to compare it against. But when you see as many screenshots as I do and have been playing as long as I have, you start to pick up on the patterns. So now you're down to your tickets where value trumps opportunity, and that is basically the rules of rotation. Okay, so we talked about that. Time remaining is important. If you don't have enough time to finish your tasks, and it doesn't make sense to burn through all of your limited tasks, now does it? So let's say you slacked off and there's no way you're going to finish in time, but you want to go ahead and burn through some assignments. Then you would just go for quick, fast, easy points, and that would be things like repair, keys, coins, things of that nature. You wouldn't want to burn through some war cards and some epics just for the hell of it, you know, that's foolish. Okay, so task assessment is when you go through each task in your list, you put it into one of the three categories: main, rotatable, no touch, / cancel. So when you first get your list, or at anytime you don't know what to do a task assessment, okay? Basically, you're doing a task assessment every single time you get a task, but it's usually just quicker. I'm talking in-depth task assessment, where you look at the entire list and you start at the very top of the list and you say, okay, what kind of task is this? Is this a main or rotatable? If it's a 3K VU, that is a main task, okay? You put an M next to it for main. Go down, what is the next task? It is a 2K upgrade. That is a no touch / cancel because you are a low CoM player, and so you're camping, you're not doing upgrades, right? So you put NT/C, meaning you're not going to be touching it, but if you do touch it, it's going to be to cancel it. So that way you don't skip over it, right? Then you maybe scroll down a little bit more and you see 990 chemicals. That is a no touch, period. Not a cancel, but a no touch. You can cross that off for the rest of the contest forever, ever, ever. Okay? Usually you don't touch chemicals if they're below the 1600 threshold because they just repeatedly come back, right? You just keep going down your list. You break it into those categories. If you see an 800 epic, most people put that into a no-touch category. That is not a no-touch task. That is a rotatable task. Once all the main tasks go away, that is an option to open up better tasks. So you would put an R next to it because it's rotatable. Usually, every list has about 3 main tasks right at the beginning of the week. As you rotate through your main tasks and you do them, you will notice that you'll get, something rotatable in return. So let's say you did a 3K VU as your first choice, and you got a 1K or a 1200 glue, right? You would put an R next to that, and you would scoot down one, and you would look at any other main tasks, and you would say, okay, out of these main tasks, which one is the highest and opens the best opportunity? And then you would snag that one up. Okay, then that one usually gets replaced with a rotatable and stacks on top, and then you scoot your way down the list until all the main tasks are gone. Now, normally, what should happen is when you do your main tasks, you'll get rotatable. Then somewhere in there, it'll spit out another main task, and it should keep you at the top of your list most of the time, right? And that way, every so many tasks, you are doing main task, and then once all those are gone, then you're looking at rotatables again, and you're looking at what one of these options can I snag up from the bottom of my list to make something good happen up here again. That's essentially what you're doing. You're rotating in your rotatable options for main tasks. Now, what ends up happening is you rotate in the wrong rotatables and you don't get main tasks. You just get garbage. You get more rotatables, right? Or you get upgrades that you can't do that block the main tasks from coming in. And that is where everything starts to get hard. That's where people start to get frustrated because they don't see what's causing the game not to give them what they want. They don't see like, oh, hey, I have a 2500 monster there for a day and a half that's been sitting, that's blocking good things from to keep happening. So if you would have canceled that monster, all of a sudden things start to pick up again. But normally, more often than not, you can allow that monster to sit there until he's ready. And then you can do that and then get him out of the way of your list and don't touch it again after the 2,000 points is up. After comes back in worth less than 2,000 points, you just don't touch it ever again after that. It's not worth the risk. Especially when he's always there. Doesn't make sense. So you have to be able to tell when certain things are being blocked and when they're not, right? Now, main tasks, like I just explained, are tasks that are usually over 2,000 points and are the obvious choice. That is what a main task is. A rotatable task is a task that you rotate to open up better opportunity after all main tasks have been done. No touch, and a cancel is tasks that you will not touch for the duration of the contest or will need to cancel. Okay, what you need to know about each task is value, algorithm, premium versus non-premium, opportunity, and risk. So every single task has been broke down into those 4 main categories, and you guys have all the information you need per task. I'm going to go through them with you super quick, and then I'll get this uploaded for you guys. So if it has a P next to it, it means premium. If it has an NP next to it, it means non-premium. Some of them are marked premium/non-premium because we refer to them as premium because more often than not, they range from the 1600 to the 2400 threshold, but don't quite meet that 3000 mark. So there's still a premium option. There's something that you rotate in quite frequently, such as a beach task. A beach task, I consider it to be a very good main task. is not technically a premium. It doesn't meet that 300 or that 3,000 threshold. So if you were taking, let's say, a CoM test and you had to mark which one was non-premium, Beach would match that non-premium. Okay, War Delivery. So War Delivery has a P next to it. That means it is a premium task. So it has the ability to be worth 3,000 points, as stated there next to the War Delivery. This task is on a time limit, meaning you can only do this task if you're in an active war or if you have the monster in your city. That being said, you need to take that into consideration when rotating. The moment that you have that thing in your list, you need to double check what's going on in your game. If you can complete it and for how long. You don't want to dink around and not realize, oh, hey, the monster's only here for the next hour. I dinked around, and then by the time it came time to rotate that in, I was unable to do it because I didn't pay close enough attention to my timer. Pay very close attention to what's going on in your game. And keep in mind that when rotating, so that you're capable of doing the task. Okay, so algorithm. This task has a low spawn rate, actually. You know, usually you get it like at the beginning of the contest and maybe get it 2 or 3 more times throughout the contest, right? Now, usually it will spawn more on weeks where they do, you know, like war stuff. Like last week, how they did the double war points and things like that. They said that the war assignments were going to spawn more, and they did. They just screwed up the contest. Opportunity. So this brings great opportunity for higher tasks as it is a premium task, right? So by clearing out that high value task and opening up that premium option, it opens up the doorway for other premium main tasks to come in. Risk. There really isn't much risk with this task if there's no high upgrades in your list, right? Or if there is no high upgrades in your list, you run a small risk of having this kick back a high upgrade. Meaning, more often than not, you don't really get a high upgrade from doing one of these, right? Normally that comes from like a war booster. If you don't have any upgrades in your list and you rotate in a war booster, you have a much higher risk of getting a kickback of a higher upgrade. Just depends on what's in your list. Okay, so war launch. This is a common war launch, so this would be the blue card. This is a premium / non-premium, meaning it opens up better premium options, and it sits right around the 2,400 at the maximum is what it can be worth. Usually, more often than not, you see this one in your list worth 800 to 1,600 points, and you can rotate it in for better options. It doesn't typically occur keep coming back at usually maybe 1 to 2 times per contest, as you can see with the algorithm there. Pay attention to your wartime and your monster, as this task can be done against the monster, okay? As long as it isn't attack in Club Wars, which that is one task I need to add. I forgot that one. Attack in Club Wars is basically the same exact algorithm and opportunity. It's going to be about the same as a booster, but I will add that one in later today. Okay. Opportunity. It brings really good opportunity for higher value tasks to come in, or, you know, usually when you rotate that one in, you get like a high, you know, delivery or production or another war task, usually, more often than not. Risk is pretty low, meaning it normally doesn't cause anything negative to happen, like a high upgrade or a really low factory or something, you know? Okay, war launch, rare card, yellow. So that would be your yellow card. This is a premium. It can be worth up to 3,000 points. It is a limited time task, meaning a limited timed task, meaning that it can only be done when war is active or against the monster. When this task is in your list, it's usually worth about 1,000 points at the beginning if it's in there as a rotatable. But when it's in your list worth 2,000 or higher is when it becomes a main task. Okay, so if it's there worth less than 2,000 points, you mark it as a rotatable option to bring better opportunity. But if it's in there worth 2,000 points or higher, it's considered a main task and should be rotated as such. Algorithm. Normally this task appears 1 to 3 times in one round of CoM, so it's not something that just repeatedly comes back, you know, like a coins task, for example. Opportunity. Well, when worth 1,000 points, this task has a really high chance of resulting in a 2K or higher task in return. If you have no upgrades in your list, you should use caution when rotating. If you have a decent average, then I would rotate this task and wait definitely before war ends or when the right opportunity presents itself. Risk. If your average is low, okay, and you have no other other rotatable options and no upgrades in your list, then I would hold off on rotating this task until you have a few low upgrades or at least one high one in the list already that you can use to block the others from reappearing. Okay, War Launch, Legendary, purple card. This is an HP task. Most of them are not marked HP, but that is basically high premium, meaning it can be worth up to 3,600 points. This task doesn't pop up very often, maybe 1 or 2 times per round of CoM, and usually when it does, it's usually in your list worth about 1,200 to, again, 2,400. 3,600 is usually what occurs when you rotate in a booster and you have a low average. The game will spit you a legendary war attack to kind of bring that average up. Like I said, the game always tries to level you out. So, risk is low. Usually this task brings better opportunity. However, again, if you have no high upgrades, if you have no high upgrades like 2Ks or higher in your list, it could result in a high upgrade to occur. If you guys, what you always want to do is at the beginning of your list, look at your upgrades and see which ones are worth a lower value. Okay, so if the old townhomes or the Latin are there worth 1,200, you know that you're not going to get a 3,600 Latin or 3,600 old townhome because they're already there with a low value. So you can cross those off of, you know, being worrisome to you because they're no longer an option, which is excellent. You know, the lower those higher tasks are, the better opportunity for other higher tasks to appear. Okay, so war card upgrade. This is a limited task. What this means is that eventually you're going to run out of war cards or run out of upgrades, right? So you want to use extreme caution when doing this task. This is one of your limited time tasks, so you should only do this in Mega if you have a legitimate chance at winning. If you're in any other league besides Mega, do not do this task. It's always worth 3,000 points. It's never going to be worth less than 3,000 points. Be prepared for this task as much as you possibly can. What this means is any opportunity that you see to earn extra war points in your group, you should take it. Any extra war coins you have, you should be buying jackpots. You should be launching as much as possible, and you should be banking in on all of those boosters and war cards as much as you possibly can, okay? Because you need to get them stacked up. You don't want to be in Mega and have a 3,000 war card upgrade, a really nice, easy task, a nice, easy 3,000 points pop up, and you be unable to do it simply because you didn't launch enough attacks, okay? So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a pretty decent one unlocked, maybe like not in Kansas, because that one can be launched 3 times within 1 energy bar, or like a magnetism, you know, something that can be worth a lot of points and hit a decent amount. I say not in Kansas because that one's going to be less strenuous on your inventory in terms of storage space, okay? Whereas magnetism, yes, you can launch it more, you know, because of the energy cost, but it takes up a lot more space in war items and a larger variety of war items. So make sure that you guys are earning as many points as possible and stacking up as many war cards as you can, as many boosters as you can, and then every, you know, hour or so, every 45 minutes, check the war shop and buy any boosters that you can buy that are jackpots. Usually I tell people to buy the level 1 jackpots, even if you're in Arena 6, because unless you're coordinating attacks with other players, then it doesn't make sense to have those really long duration times on your jackpots, unless you're somebody who uses a lot of energy pumps and shield busts and you just want to sit there and, you know, burn through them. But it doesn't make sense to spend triple the amount when you could just buy 3 of the level 1s to equal 1 of the larger ones, right? That being said, I usually buy just the level 1s as much as possible, and you can still coordinate attacks just fine within 10 minutes. Okay, let's see. Algorithm. This task can appear several times in one round of CoM. It can. Doesn't mean it will. Okay, I've seen some people, they just get this one over and over, you know, which is great, you know, because it boosts up their average. Sometimes it doesn't appear at all. It's obviously totally random, but you need to be prepared for it to appear definitely more than once, okay? Opportunity. Because this task is always worth 3,000 points, it should be a priority. Normally results in lower tasks because of its high value. However, this should not discourage you from doing it because the game will try to level you out. So any high task that you do, normally you don't get a high task in return. You know, like right after doing a 3K VU, you don't normally get a 3K delivery and then a 3K work hard and then a 3K whatever, you know. Normally it knocks you down something, throws you a rotatable option, you pop out another main task, throws you another rotatable, you do a rotatable, it pops up a main. It's kind of like this cycle, this up and down cycle that you go through. What ends up happening, what breaks that cycle from, you know, being at a steady pace, is when you have all of your tasks that could be worth good points sitting at the bottom of your list worth a low value, then the game just keeps spitting you garbage because it can't give you anything better because it doesn't have the opportunity to do so. Okay, risk. If there's no upgrades in your list, then the chances are high that you get a high upgrade. Let's see. Which one was that for? That's for War Booster. I knew I missed something. I'm like, that doesn't happen with a War card. Okay, War Booster. Always worth 1,000 points. Has a very good chance to give a higher value task in return. This is a rotatable task. Can only be done during war and should be rotated before war ends. Usually this task pops up 1 or 2 times during the contest, so the algorithm isn't super bad for it. However, if you have like maybe 3 or 4 low valued upgrades, especially if they're the ones that can be worth the most points, like let's say you have a 1200 Latin, 1200 Old Town, and a 1K Tokyo, I would rotate in the war card as a attempt to get a high delivery or a high VU, because it usually kicks back a higher task, being how it's worth a lower value. Because it's worth such a low value, the game tries to level you out. So maybe what you guys should pay attention to is, if you want to do a 2K average, a lot of people focus on the fact that each task needs to be worth 2,000 points. That's not the case, okay? You need to focus on what the average of your tasks are, not the individual task itself. For example, yesterday, because the game has been being such a pain in the ass, there was an incident where this person had gotten a 3K VU, and then they had done it, and then they got a 1,000 point task in return, or no, they had gotten a 1,500 point task in return, and I remember them, you know, complaining that they thought that the game was starting to pick up and that it's not. And I remember saying, well, no, because if you look, those 2 tasks that you just did, you know, you only did 2 tasks and you got 4,500 points between the 2 tasks that you did. So you're actually up on your 2K average for those 2 tasks. That would be the game picking up. You can't expect to see all 2,000 point tasks. That's foolish, right? That's not going to happen. The game, you have to, that's why it's so important that you guys make the right choices, because if you fall too low on your average, it's near impossible to get back up there. Okay? But the game is going to try. It's going to try to keep you right around that median zone. And any extra points that you can stack on top of that, you can usually keep your average even above 2,000 if you can keep those points above that median zone. But typically that's a much easier that's much easier to do when you're not camping. Okay, when you're just somebody who can do upgrades, are you kidding me? A 2K average is a cakewalk for somebody who can do upgrades, you know. Then it's not near impossible. Like, you can always run a 2K average if you're doing upgrades, if you do your tasks right. But you got to remember what's going on based on the tasks that you've done right now, not the tasks that you've done the whole time. If you want to know if the game's picking up between the last 10 minutes, you don't judge what the game has been doing for the last 3 days. You know, you judge based on what's going on in the last 10 minutes, not 3 days. So people look at it and they say, well, my score still sucks. Well, no shit, your score sucks. The game's been giving you garbage for the last 3 days. But what's going on right now, the game's not going to just say, okay, I've been giving her garbage for 3 days. Here, just have an endless amount of 3K tasks. It doesn't happen like that. So people, more often than not, what ends up being troublesome for people is they expect too much. They expect that they get all of these really high upgrade, or these high, value tasks like 2Ks and 3Ks, and the game's just not doing what it should be if it's not giving it to them. And then they calculate their average, and they're really not as far down as they think they are. A couple of good tasks could bring that back up. So just be patient with it and try to analyze it for what is in front of you right now. Okay, so the opportunity again for this task, like I just got done saying, it brings really great opportunity as long as you have some upgrades in your list worth a lower value. You do run a risk of getting a high upgrade when you rotate this in, but it's an excellent rotatable task. Again, the risk I just said, I'm not going to say that again. Specific war attack. This is a non-premium, normally worth 1,400 to 2,400 points. This one doesn't pop up like hardly at all. Make sure that you guys do it. It only works on the monster if the monster has allowed that particular disaster to be on its list. Otherwise, you want to do this one as soon as you can to get it out of the way, as it is such a rare task to get in the first place. Okay, the opportunity is pretty decent for it. Normally results in a 1,500 to a 2,000 point task. Low risk for a high upgrade, and main risk for a low factory. So mainly, the risk that you run is getting a low factory, like a 1,200 chems or a 1,200 textiles or something. Okay, monster, non-premium, can be worth up to 2,500 points. This task should only be done if it is 2,000 points or higher, or as it is, okay, 2,000 points or higher, as it is always in your list. Okay, algorithm, extremely high, right? Once you complete this task, it always comes back. Not could, not should, but it will, okay? Once you have it in your list for less than 2,000, you need to leave it alone for the rest of the contest. Under no circumstances would you do this in any setting, okay, after it's reached that 2,000 threshold, or reached below that. Now, here's the thing. I hate saying any, because there is one occurrence where you would do this, okay, where it's less than 2,000 points. But again, this is one of those common sense moments. Let's say it's the last ticket, okay? And you're looking at your list, and that's the highest one in your list. And you can do it. And it's your last task. Why the hell would you not do it? Right? If it's worth more points and it's your last task, then the risk that it poses of returning worth a higher value is no longer a risk for you, because you're out of tasks. So banking in on those points would make more sense, yes? Okay. So, that being said, use common sense anytime you see those words, because there's always usually some type of weird scenario like that where you would want to say, okay, that makes sense, right? Okay. That being said, opportunity, there is really no opportunity, only completing if 2K or higher. So basically, I mean, even if you complete it for 2K or higher, you're only banking in on those points. But in terms of what that task is going to give back to you, eventually when it comes right back around, it's going to give you that monster again. So the opportunity was in the value, not in the type of task in itself. When you rotated it out, you rotated it out to open up one of your 2K placements rather than the task itself, right? So that's one thing that a lot of people need to understand, is that there's two types of opportunities: opportunity with value and opportunity without value. You have this opportunity because now this type of task is no longer in your list, or you have this type of opportunity because you now have that place value of the 2,000 points or higher open for other place valued tasks to come in. And so you have two different types of opportunity here. Okay, risk. High, never touch less than, or never touch if lower than 2,000. Okay, earn coins, non-premium, usually worth between 1,000 and 1,700 points. This task is considered a rotatable task, but only as one of your last options if running low on options and need to rotate. Okay, so what this means is it is a rotatable. It usually, again, comes back. It has a medium algorithm rate, meaning it doesn't come back right away. Sometimes it takes maybe, 2 to 6 tasks to come back. And when it does, it's only going to be worth X, right? So it's only going to be worth 1,100 to 1,700 points. That being said, I mean, it's good for opportunity to occur when you're near kind of the end of the contest or the end of your rope, when you're running out of options. Maybe you have a lot of low upgrades in your list and a couple of really low factory tasks you don't want to open up because they keep coming back, and you're running out of options here. That's usually when you would pull up and do the coins. Okay, because this task is non-premium and it has a good chance of returning, the opportunity is okay for a few tasks, but if you have little options, you should look at elsewhere to open up better opportunities. What this means is if you have a lot of tasks remaining and you have very little options, then you need to look somewhere else to open up those opportunities, because this is only going to get you so far, right? So let's say you have 40 tasks remaining and you have little to no options. You need to look at your list and go, do you honestly see yourself being able to nickel and dime your way through this for that many tasks? And if the answer is no, then why would you continue now with what you have, wait for your score to drop, and then try to fix it? Doesn't make sense. You would want to fix it now and try to open up an opening now rather than later when your tasks have gotten worse and your average has dropped even further, So the risk is low, normally results in a low or medium production, repair, VU, or cargo, then comes back around, doesn't normally cause a high upgrade to appear. Okay, airport delivery, Paris. Technically, Paris deliveries can only be worth 2,400 points maximum, so this one is technically not a premium. But still, it's a good rotatable option. If given the option to do this over a Tokyo or London of equal value, you would choose one of the others because they are premium. Okay, so if you have a, one of equal value, which like right around there, you would pick the others. Okay, algorithm, moderate. Normally you get several airport tasks in one round of CoM. Not normally the same kind multiple times, it just depends, right? So normally you'll get London maybe twice, and then Tokyo, and then Paris, and you can get them several times. So you just got to be careful because you don't want to spend a whole lot of cash on them. Try to make sure that you're not pre-packing those boxes. That way if you have to send out for a new shipment, you can do so. Okay. Opportunity is good. It has a chance to give a decent premium like war, VU, production, etc. Risk is pretty low. Normally they don't result in a whole lot of bad, you know. Airport delivery for Tokyo or London can be worth up to 3,000 points. This is a main task if worth around 2k or higher, and a rotatable task if worth less than 1,000 points. Should be rotated for high premiums. There is an algorithm. There is a total of 3 airport tasks, making it highly likely that you will do several of these during one round of the contest. Opportunity is good. Opens up great opportunities for higher premiums. Risk is low. Okay. Keys, non-premium, can be worth up to 2,400 points. Usually is good to leave it sit unless worth 2,000 points or 2,400. Why is that? Because now it's a main task, because it's in that 2k threshold, right? Okay. If you have no higher rotatable options, and this is in your list worth 1,600, you should rotate this for the purpose of opening up that place value. So, anything less than the 1,600, then you would not touch that task basically until value trumps opportunity. So near the end of the contest. Okay, algorithm, almost always in your list, but normally takes about 3 to 4 tasks to return. Meaning if you do need to rotate it in, like 2,000 or 2,400 or whatever, normally it comes back within about 4 tasks. Opportunity is low. Doesn't really have a great opportunity because, it's going to keep returning, right? If taking up one of your 2K placements, it should be rotated. Beach and Mountain is a non-premium / premium. It's always worth exactly 2,500 points. It's a limited time task, meaning that once you've completed all of your beach upgrades and your mountain upgrades, you don't have any more to do. So the game stops giving you those assignments, and you don't have those tasks that you can use to boost up your average anymore. So that being said, you would want to save these for Mega only, okay? Do not unlock any beach or mountain in any other league or for any other purpose than the contest and in Mega, okay? So you're in Mega, you're playing, and it's your first week in Mega, you have all of these, war cards and these beach and these mountain, these tasks that are coming in worth good value that you can use to boost your average up against all the other players. But once you use these up, they're no longer optional, right? And so if you can't do those work card upgrades, you have to cancel those 3K tasks, which drops your average further down. Once you max out your beach and your mountain, you can no longer do those, right? And so that being said, you don't have those in your list anymore, so they're not really blocking anything, but it is a really nice way to get those to boost up your average, especially the first couple weeks in Mega when you're learning. It'll help you win those first couple rounds to have those extra points. Okay, so you will not want to cancel this because the algorithm is extremely high. So if you're in the other leagues, you just leave them sit. If you cancel them, they're going to come right back, okay? Same goes for in Mega. You should never cancel a beach or mountain task, ever, ever, ever. Okay, even if you are saying, screw it, I've got a hacker this week, you wouldn't want to waste any limited tasks, that would be of use to you if you have a hacker, right? You still would not want to cancel it as they just come right back. So it's just going to drop your score even further. You wouldn't want to do them, but you wouldn't want to cancel them. Okay, cargo. We're running really low on time here because it's already been 53 minutes. Cargo can be worth up to 1,800 points. Should be done if it's at the 1,800 points to open up one of your 2K placements. That makes it basically a main task. If less than 1,800 points, then you treat it as a rotatable option. Algorithm, it normally doesn't return more than 2 or 3 times per one round of CoM. Doesn't mean it can't, just means it normally does not. It's a good rotatable task. It usually results in like a production or something. It's not bad. It doesn't normally result in something horrendous. Opportunity is decent. It's one of those tasks that doesn't continue to come back. So if you have it in your list worth a low value and you don't see any other rotatable options, then snag it up. and see if you can get it out of the way and get something else in its place that can do you some good. Risk is low, as I just said. Epic. Okay, this is another one of your very limited tasks. I'm going to save this for part 2 because there's a little bit more in-depth stuff that has to be said here, and I don't want to try to rush through it in the next 6 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead, get this uploaded, and then we will finish up part 2.